Walk away in silence, the power of leaving without drama. Stoicism. There is a moment you already know. The moment you realize that staying is costing you more than leaving ever could. Maybe it's a job that eats your health, a friendship that only flows one way, or an argument that has become a war with no winner. And here is the hardest part. It's not the leaving that breaks people. It's the noise they make on the way out. Today, I want to show you a different door. The quiet one. The one the Stoics used 2,000 years ago. Let's begin with a question. When is walking away wisdom, and when is it weakness? Our culture praises endurance. Grind harder. Stay loyal. Never quit. But the Stoics understood something we keep forgetting. Endurance is a virtue only when the thing you are enduring is worth the price. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that life is short, and that every hour spent on what degrades you is an hour stolen from what could build you. So look honestly at your life. That job that drains you, where you trade your sleep, your temper, and your self-respect for a paycheck and a manager who will never be satisfied. That is not loyalty. That is slow erosion. That friendship where you are always the one who calls, always the one who forgives, always the one who shows up. Seneca's standard for friendship was simple. A true friend improves you, and you improve them. When only one person carries the weight, it is not friendship. It is service. And what about arguments? Some battles cannot be won, because the other person is not fighting to find the truth. They are fighting to win. Marcus Aurelius told himself to stop debating what a good man should be, and simply be one. Every hour spent trying to convince someone committed to misunderstanding you is an hour you will never get back. Then there are the environments that quietly corrupt you. Epictetus warned his students bluntly about the company they kept. Spend your time with people whose habits are beneath your principles, and you will not raise them up. They will drag you down, the way a healthy man living among the sick eventually catches what they carry. Character is contagious. Choose your exposure. So yes, sometimes leaving is strength. But how you leave determines whether you walk out free, or drag the whole mess behind you. Here are 6 principles for walking away in silence. Principle 1. Decide once, and decide quietly. Most people never actually decide to leave. They threaten to leave. They announce it, retract it, announce it again. Every threat is a negotiation, and every negotiation hands your power to the other side. Epictetus taught that the beginning of philosophy is knowing what is in your power and what is not. Other people's behavior is not in your power. Your decision is. So make it once, in private, with a clear mind, and let it be final. Think of the employee who spends 2 years telling coworkers she is going to quit, and the one who quietly updates her resume, secures a new position, and hands in her notice on a calm Tuesday morning. One of them burned 2 years in resentment. The other spent that energy building an exit. A decision made quietly cannot be argued with, mocked, or talked out of you. Silence is not hesitation. Silence is the sound of a decision that no longer needs anyone's approval. Principle 2. No farewell speeches. When you leave, there is a powerful temptation to finally say everything. The speech you have rehearsed in the shower 100 times. Every grievance, every truth they need to hear. Resist it. Ask yourself what the speech is actually for. If they were capable of hearing it, you would not be leaving. Epictetus gave advice that sounds almost impossible until you try it. When someone criticizes you, do not defend yourself. Simply say that they clearly did not know your other faults, or they would have mentioned those too. That is the posture of a person who no longer needs to manage anyone's opinion. Your farewell speech will not deliver justice. It will deliver ammunition, quoted back, twisted, and passed around long after you are gone. Picture the man who leaves a toxic workplace with a blistering resignation letter, and the one who writes 2 gracious lines and walks out. Guess which one the company gossips about for years, and which one simply becomes free. Principle 3. No revenge, and no explanation tour. After you leave, two temptations remain. The first is revenge, making them pay. The second is subtler, the explanation tour, going from person to person telling your side, recruiting sympathy, managing the narrative. Both are chains. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike the person who caused the injury. Read that again. Not to defeat them. To be unlike them. The moment you scheme against someone, you have adopted their methods, and they have won something worse than the argument. They have won your character. The same goes for the explanation tour. Every time you retell the story, you relive it. You keep the wound open for an audience. Ask the Stoic question. Does this action make you more free, or less? Consider the woman who ends a bad relationship and spends a year explaining herself to mutual friends, versus the one who says, it simply was not right, and lets time prove her judgment. One is still in the relationship. The other left. Principle 4. Grieve what was real. Here is where Stoicism is misunderstood. People think walking away in silence means feeling nothing. That is not Stoicism. That is suppression, and suppression always sends the bill later. Seneca, writing to console the grieving, never told them to feel nothing. He acknowledged that tears are natural, that loss is real, and that the goal is not to erase sorrow but to keep it from becoming your master. When you leave something, you are not just leaving the bad parts. You are leaving the good memories, the hopes, the person you were when you believed in it. Grieve that honestly. The friendship was real before it became one-sided. The job once excited you. Feel the loss in private, fully and without shame, so it does not leak out as bitterness in public. Think of a man who leaves a 20-year career. If he pretends it meant nothing, the anger will surface elsewhere. If he honors what it gave him and mourns what it cost him, he closes the chapter cleanly. Principle 5. Carry the lesson, not the resentment. Every ending is a tuition payment. The only question is whether you collect the education. Seneca described reviewing his day each evening, asking what he did well, where he went wrong, and what he would do differently. Apply that same review to whatever you are leaving. What early signs did you ignore? What did you tolerate too long, and why? What does this teach you about your boundaries? Notice that none of those questions are about the other person. Resentment keeps studying them. Wisdom studies you. Resentment says, they wasted 5 years of my life. The lesson says, I now know exactly what I will never accept again, and that knowledge will protect every year I have left. One keeps you tied to the past like a prisoner walking backward. The other turns the past into equipment. When you catch yourself replaying old injuries, ask one question. Am I learning right now, or just bleeding? If it is not a lesson, put it down. Principle 6. Build what's next before bitterness builds you. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the human heart. If you walk away and leave the space empty, bitterness will move in and start decorating. The Stoics did not merely avoid vice. They practiced virtue daily, deliberately, like training. Epictetus taught that every habit is strengthened by its corresponding actions. Rehearse anger, and you become angrier. Build, and you become a builder. So before the door even closes behind you, have something in front of you. New work. New training. New people, chosen this time by Seneca's standard, people who make you better and whom you make better. The man who leaves a bad job and spends his evenings scrolling old emails becomes an archive of grievances. The man who enrolls in a course, starts the business, joins the gym, becomes someone the old life would not recognize. Your future is the only place your energy still earns interest. Invest it there. So what is the point of all this silence? Not coldness. Not pride. Peace. The Stoics described the goal of life as a smooth flow, a mind that no external chaos could shatter. That is what you are protecting when you leave without drama. Every quiet exit is a declaration, not to them, but to yourself, that your peace is no longer up for negotiation. You do not need the last word, because you are no longer in the conversation. You do not need them to understand, because you understand. The ego says some doors deserve to be slammed. The philosopher knows that every door closed gently stays closed. So if you are standing at that door right now, you already know what to do. Decide once. Say little. Take the lesson, leave the resentment, and walk towards something worth building. Not because you are weak. Because you finally know what your presence is worth. Walk away in silence. Let your absence say everything.